This is the Midea 10,000 British thermal units U-shaped smart inverter window air conditioner. And it is the first window unit that made my room quieter while it cooled it down. I live on a busy street, and this turned the constant traffic hum into a soft background hush without sacrificing cooling power. It is a window air conditioner made for small to medium spaces, and it is best for people who care about two things that usually do not come together in this category: low noise and real energy savings. If you are working from home, if you are a light sleeper, or if you just cannot stand the rumble of a traditional window unit, this design makes a noticeable difference. My living room is a little under 450 square feet, and this unit handles it comfortably. The U-shaped frame matters more than it looks. The compressor sits outside, the cooling portion sits inside, and the window closes down between them. That means the glass acts like a sound barrier and a weather seal, so you keep the noise and the hot air where they belong. The body is slimmer than the old boxy units I have used, and it sits flush enough that my blinds almost cleared it. I trimmed the bottom rail on my blinds by a small amount, and then everything fit without rattles. The front panel has a simple digital display that is easy to see from across the room, and the air louvers can be angled to push air across the space instead of just dumping it straight out. Setting it up took me longer than a throw in the window and call it a day unit, but the result is worth the effort. There is a support bracket that forms a stable cradle, weather strips to seal the sides, and foam pieces that close the small gaps. I measured, leveled the bracket with a slight tilt to drain water outside, tightened everything, and then dropped the unit into place. 2 hands are better than one here because the air conditioner is not light. I took about 40 minutes working at a calm pace, double-checking the instructions as I went. Once the window slides down into the U shape and the side seals are pressed in, it feels locked in and solid. It is the kind of install I am happy to leave in place season after season rather than wrestling it out each fall. Day to day, it is straightforward to live with. The physical controls on the front are simple, the included remote is basic but responsive, and the Midea application adds the modern touches I actually use. I paired it with my wireless internet and could start or stop the cooling, change modes, or set a schedule from my phone while I was away. On a hot commute home, I opened the application and set it to cool before I pulled into the driveway, and I walked into a comfortable room instead of a wall of heat. Voice control works through Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, and I used it a few times when I was cooking and did not want to touch my phone with messy hands. Cooling performance is where it surprised me. The inverter compressor does not blast on and then cut off like the older units I grew up with. It ramps up and then eases back, holding the temperature steady without those annoying starts and stops. In my living room on a 90-degree afternoon, I watched the temperature drop from the mid-80s to the mid-70s in around 25 minutes, and the airflow felt steady without being harsh. Once the room hit the set point, the sound dropped to a soft whisper. Midea quotes very low noise numbers, down around the low 30s in decibels, and while measurements in a real home are never perfect, my ears tell me it is about as quiet as a small table fan running on a low setting. That U-shaped seal pays off in more than one way. With the window pulled almost all the way down, street noise stays outside. I could hold a conversation in a normal voice, watch television without turning it up, and take phone calls for work without muting the microphone every time the compressor cycled. On a stormy night, I was able to sleep without the jittery rumble that older window units used to make. Vibration is minimal, and the casing does not buzz against the sill because the bracket carries the weight instead of the wood. Air quality is better than I expected too. On humid days, the space feels dry and comfortable instead of clammy. The unit is draining properly because of that small outward tilt on the bracket, so there is no surprise water inside. The filter slides out from the front for a quick rinse, and I have been doing that every couple of weeks because the street kicks up a lot of dust. Once clean, the airflow stays strong and even. I ran a few simple tests that match how I actually use it. On a weekday afternoon with bright sun on the windows, I set the temperature to 74 degrees and sat down to edit video. The fan stayed at a moderate level, the compressor eased down after the first 15 minutes, and it maintained the room without the big swings I used to get. On a weekend, I cooked a long dinner, filled the kitchen with heat, and let the air conditioner pull the temperature back while I ate. Within a short while the space was back to normal and the humidity felt balanced. Late at night, I switched to a lower fan speed and left it running while sleeping. The sound was low enough that I stopped hearing it after a minute, and I woke up without the dry throat I get from some older units that blast cold air straight at you. One specific use case sold me on the design. I live next to a bus route, and evening traffic can be loud. With previous window units, I had to choose between cooling and noise. With this one, I shut the window down into the middle of the unit, set the fan to a gentle speed, and watched a movie on my television without subtitles. The dialogue stayed clear, and the sound effects did not drown in road noise. The quieter room also helped with microphone recordings for voiceovers. My audio cleanup steps were faster because there was no deep rumble to filter out. The smart features feel meaningful rather than gimmicky. The application shows the current status, lets me set schedules so it cools before I get home, and gives me control when I forget to turn it off. Voice assistants let me nudge the temperature while my hands are full. There is a setting to dim the front display at night, and I rarely notice it from the couch. This is not a toy list of features. It genuinely reduced little frictions in daily use. Energy use is where I saw a steady improvement over time. Midea claims it saves more than 35% compared to conventional non-inverter models. I cannot validate their lab numbers, but I can say my summer electric bill looked calmer than it has in past years. Part of that is the way the inverter holds the temperature. It avoids constant full power surges, which means fewer spikes on the meter and a more even feel in the room. The other part is simple behavior change. Because it is quiet and controllable from the application, I was more willing to set a schedule and let it maintain instead of overcooling, and then turning it off. There are a few things to keep in mind. Installation takes patience and a bit of muscle. If you rush the weather stripping or leave gaps, you lose the benefits of the U-shaped seal. Take the extra 10 minutes to press the foam into every gap, and make sure the bracket has a slight tilt to drain water outside. The unit is heavy enough that I recommend a second person for the lift. If you like to pull your window unit out and store it at the end of each season, this design is not the quickest to uninstall and reinstall. It is more of a set it once and forget it approach, which is exactly what I wanted. The remote gets the job done, though the buttons are small and a little stiff. Also, this is a cooling-focused air conditioner. It does not heat a room, so plan a different solution for winter. After months of living with it, I trust it. The casing feels solid, the bracket has not shifted, and the seals have not loosened. Inside the room, it simply fades into the background and does its job. When I walk outside and stand near it, I can hear the compressor running, but it is far quieter than the old suitcase-style boxes I used years ago. If you want a window air conditioner that is truly quiet inside, that keeps the outside noise outside, and that sips less electricity than the old school on-off units, this Midea U-shaped inverter model is a strong option. It is especially good for apartments or medium-sized rooms, for people who work from home or watch a lot of television, and for anyone who values a clean install they can leave in place year-round. If you need something you can pop in and out often, or if you want a unit that also heats, this is not the right fit. For everything else, it is the rare product that improves comfort in more than one way at the same time. If this video helped, subscribe to the channel and drop your questions or your own experience in the comments. Thank you for watching.